Good day everyone. Today I'm going to discuss a new topic which is all about the legal basis of NSTP. And later on we are going to discuss, or I am going to discuss also, the content of the National Service Training Program Act of 2001 and the sections inside the content. Okay, so let us start. May I just read to you the introduction of our topic. So it says here that the National Service Training Program, or NSTP, is a civic education and defense preparedness program for students instituted by the government of the Philippines on the 5th of January 2000 by virtue of Republic Act 9163, otherwise known as the National Service Training Program, or the NSTP Act of 2001. So here on our introduction, we have different points that we need to emphasize. It says here that the NSTP is a civic education and defense preparedness program. So we are going to discover later on why the NSTP is considered as a civic education and defense preparedness program for students. And mind you that the NSTP is also instituted by the government of the Philippines. So all of the students are going to take the NSTP, no? But later on, let us discover if what level, okay, or the range or the level of the students that are required to take the NSTP, no? And then later on, ayan, I will also be showing you the different facts or the details about the National Service Training Program, or the NSTP Act of 2001. So as you can see, it was instituted by the government on the 5th of January 2000 and by the virtue of the Republic Act 9163. Okay, so that is for the introduction. Now, let's move on to the content of the Republic Act number 9163. Okay, so as you can see at the top, it says here, Congress of the Philippines, 12th Congress. Okay, so we have the Republic Act number 9163, and then as you can see, we have the January 23, 2002. So it says here on the first paragraph that an act establishing the National Service Training Program, or the NSTP, for tertiary level students. So as you can see, the NSTP program, or the NSTP, is for the tertiary level students, or what we call the college students. So there is no NSTP subject for elementary, for high school, for senior high, or junior high, but the NSTP is required for tertiary levels or college level students. Okay, let's continue. Amending for the purpose Republic Act number 7077 and Presidential Decree number 1706, and for other purposes. So it says here that be it enacted by the Senate and House of Representatives of the Philippines in Congress assembled. Okay, so we have the different sections that we are going to discuss briefly because we have a lot of sections to discuss, no? I will just explain to them, or I will just explain them briefly. So let's start with the section 1. Okay, it says here on the italicized words, we have the short title. So it says here that this act shall be known as the National Service Training Program Act of 2001, or in short, the NSTP Act of 2001. We can make use of the National Service Training Program term, or pwede na rin natin gamitin yung NSTP. We can make use of the NSTP term na lang, in short. Okay? So that is under the section 1. Okay, under the section 2, according to the italicized word or the words, it says here declaration of policy. Okay? So may we elaborate this one? Declaration of policy, it says here that it is hereby affirmed the prime duty of the government to protect and serve and protect its citizens. Okay, so take note that the government, it says here on the section 2 that the duty, ayan, prime duty or the responsibility of the government is to serve. I would just like to emphasize these words, no? The government to serve and protect its citizens. Us, no? Tayo po. So, duty daw po ng ating government to serve and protect yung kaniyang mga citizens, including us, of course. So, in turn, okay, it shall be the responsibility of all citizens to defend the security of the state. Ayan, we have the terms. I'm going to emphasize or make those words bold para mabigyan natin ng emphasis and para makonsider natin yung importance ng mga words na yun. So sabi niya, it shall be the responsibility of all citizens to defend the security of the state. Ayan, highlight natin yan. And in fulfillment thereof, the government may require each citizen to render personal, military, or civil service. So, this is a two-way process. Under the section 2, it says that there is a particular duty na ginagawa ng government para sa atin, which is to serve and protect the citizens. But in return daw po, we as the citizens also has the responsibility to defend the state. Thus, the government is requiring us to either render personal, military, or civil service later on. Okay? And then let us continue. So, recognizing the youth's vital role in nation building. Ayan, we have a vital role, no, in nation building. The state shall promote civic consciousness among the youth and shall develop their, ayan, you need to develop, ayan, highlight natin, develop their physical, of course, through the trainings, and then we also have the moral, of course, your values, ayan, and then we also have the spiritual, and then intellectual, and we also have the social well-being. Okay, so these are the things or the factors that we need to develop, no? That is why the state will promote the civic consciousness among the youth, and the youth will be able to develop their physical, moral, spiritual, intellectual, and social well-being. And then it says here that it shall inculcate in the youth patriotism, nationalism, and advance their involvement in public and civic affairs. Okay? And then let us continue on the third paragraph under the section 2. It says here that in pursuit of these goals, the youth, the most valuable resource of the nation. Ayan. As you can see, sinabi niya, the youth is the most, ayan, valuable resource of the nation, no? Shall be motivated. Ayan, we have the word motivated. And then trained, of course, organized, and mobilized in military training. Okay, we have the military training, literacy, civic welfare, and other similar endeavor in the service of the nation. So as you can see here on the section 2, on the declaration of policy, it includes the things that the youth will acquire later on, okay, with this subject, with this particular subject, the NSTP. So, sinabi niya doon kung ano yung mga responsibilities, yung mga madedevelop, no, na mga factors sa isang youth. And then, sinabi niya rin dito sa section 2 that the youth, are the most valuable resource of the nation. That is why you need to be motivated, to be trained, to be organized, and to mobilize in different trainings, just like military training, literacy, civic welfare, welfare, and other similar endeavors in the service of the nation. Okay, so that is for the section 2. Whereas we have here the section 3. Let us continue. It says here definition of terms. Okay, the definition of terms includes different terms or different words that we need to define or we need to have a clarification. So it says here that for purposes of this act, the following are hereby defined as follows. Okay, so they are being numbered using or they are being identified using the small letters in the alphabet. So let's start with letter A. So it says here that National Service Training Program is a program aimed at enhancing civic consciousness and defense preparedness in the youth by developing the ethics of service and patriotism while undergoing training in any of its 3 program components. So ano ba yung mga 3 program components po natin? So I will be showing you the 3 program components later on. And then it says here that its various components are specially designed to enhance the youth's active contribution to the general welfare. As you can see here on the letter A, it was also somewhat connected on this section 2 because it says the responsibility and the things that the youth will be obtained or derived on this particular subject. So it says here that we have 3 program components. Ano kaya yung mga 3 program components na yan? Okay? We have here the Reserve Officers Training Corps or the ROTC. We also have the Literacy Training Service, and then of course we have the Civic Welfare Training Service. Okay, so let's start with the ROTC or the Reserve Officers Training Corps. So it says here, the ROTC is a program institutionalized under sections 38 and 39 of Republic Act number 7077, designed to provide military training to tertiary level students in order to motivate, to train, okay? May I just highlight this one? So, military training po tayo, no? For tertiary level students only in order to motivate, to train, ayan, to organize, and to mobilize them for national defense preparedness. Okay, so every school, no, tertiary level school, yung mga college students nila or yung mga college students natin, meron silang ROTC, no? Parang isang club or parang isang organization wherein they were able to be trained just like a military training, no? Para ma-motivate sila, para ma-organize sila, to mobilize them to train for national defense preparedness. So, typically, minsan, pag merong mga College of Criminal Justice Education, yung mga students nila, they are urged to also join the ROTC, no? And other colleges, for example, your course is BSIT, you can also join the ROTC, and then you will be trained, you will be having a military training, and then you will be performing this particular training within the semester or within the given period of time. Okay, so that is for the ROTC. And then we also have the Literacy Training Service. So it is a program designed to train students to become teachers of literacy. May I just highlight this one? To become teachers of literacy, numeracy skills, ayan, highlight lang natin, to school children, out of school youth, and other segments of society in need of their service. Okay, so as you can see, the literacy, when we say literacy, yung knowledge, no? For example, we have the information literacy, media literacy, just like that, like the IMT literacy, no? Information, media, and technology literacy. For example, you are a BSIT student, and of course, under the literacy training service, you will train or you will teach the community on how to use the technology properly, ayan, on how to choose reliable source of information, something like that. Okay, so that is for literacy training service. And we also have the civic welfare training service. So this refers to programs or activities contributory to the general welfare and the betterment of life for the members of the community or the enhancement of its facilities. Ayan, especially those devoted to improving health, education, environment, ayan, entrepreneurship, safety, recreation, and morals of the citizenry. So here on the civic welfare training service, you will also be encountering those what you call this activities that involving the community. Example, you are going to clean your surroundings, your environment, the facilities or a particular facility on your school, to give back also to the community or to give back to the school. And then it says here, ayan, morals of the citizenry. Okay, it will also be including the values of the Filipino values, and it will be taught under the civic welfare training service. Okay, so those are the three program components of the NSTP. Pero pag sinabi kasi dating National Service Training Program, hindi lang po iisa yung tinutukoy niya. So meron tayong 3 program or 3 program components under the NSTP. So I hope we understood that po. And then letter E, it says here that program component shall refer to the service component of the NSTP as enumerated in section 4 of this act. So as I've said earlier, hindi lang po yung pag sinabing NSTP na lang, hindi po. Meron po tayong 3. Nandyan yung ROTC, LTS, and we also have the CWTS. Okay, those are the service components of the NSTP. Now, let's continue to this section 4. Ayan, sabi niya, establishment of the National Service Training Program. So there is hereby established a National Service Training Program which shall form part of the curricula of all baccalaureate degree courses and of at least 2-year technical vocational courses, and is a requisite for graduation, consisting of the following service components. So, it says here, under naman ng section 4, it says here that all of the degree courses under college will undergo the NSTP. Wala po tayong lusot, wala po tayong exemption. Lahat po tayo ay mag-undergo ng ating NSTP. And then, pag sa technical vocational courses naman daw, if you have 2 years technical vocational courses, you are still going to undergo the NSTP. Wala po tayong lusot. Lahat po tayo ay mag-undergo ng NSTP. And hindi ka pwedeng gagraduate kung wala po tayong na-take na NSTP na subject sa ating list of subjects. Okay, under the curriculum. Okay, so naka-include na po lahat yan. I repeat, lahat po ng courses na available sa ating college or sa ating university ay kailangang mag-undergo ng subject or ng NSTP program depende kung alin dito sa 3 service components ng NSTP. Okay, so it says here on this paragraph that the ROTC under the NSTP shall instill patriotism, moral value of virtues, respect for rights of civilians, and adherence to the Constitution, among others. So citizenship training shall be given emphasis in all 3 program components. Okay, so here sa ROTC kanina, 'di ba, na-discuss ko that on the ROTC you will be having a somewhat military training here. So it will also include the citizenship training under the ROTC of the NSTP. So it will also give emphasis daw sa lahat ng mga programs. So for example, dito sa 3 components dito, ang ROTC natin nakapaloob pati yung literacy training and also the civic welfare training service. Okay? So it says here that the Commission on Higher Education or CHED po tayo pag college. Pero pag sa mga elementary, DepEd po 'yun. Okay? So yung para sa college po, we have the Commission on Higher Education or what we call the CHED. And according to the Technical Education and Skills Development Authority or the TESDA, in consultation with the Department of National Defense, DND, Philippine Association of State Universities and Colleges or the PASUC, Coordinating Council of Private Educational Associations of the Philippines or COCOPEA, and other concerned government agencies may design, as you can see, may design and implement such program components as may be necessary in consonance with the provisions of this act. So as you can see, we have different government agencies that are also involved in our NSTP. It says here that these government agencies may design and implement such other program components. So we have 3 components, no? So here, examples in your school, okay? You can take the 3 components, or they can offer the 3 components later, and then you're going to choose those particular components kung saan po tayo sa SWAC later on. Okay? So, hindi lang po pag sinabing NSTP, maglagay ka ng NSTP na subject sa course 9, hindi po ganon. Lahat po or marami pong mga government agency ang involved po sa pag-implement ng programs and the components of the NSTP. Okay? Here naman po sa ating section 5, the coverage under the italicized word na coverage, it says here that students, male and female, of any baccalaureate degree, course, or at least 2-year technical vocational courses in public and private educational institutions shall be required to complete one of the NSTP components as requisite for graduation. So as you can see, no, na siya. Okay, na-identify na siya. All of these students, you may be male, female, no? And any courses ng ating university, maybe 2 years man yan na course, public or private educational institution, lahat po tayo ay required na mag-take ng isang component ng NSTP, which is a requirement for graduation. And one of the requirements for graduation. Okay, under section 6 naman po, it says here that the duration and equivalent course unit, so each of the aforementioned NSTP program components shall be undertaken for an academic period of 2 semesters. So pag sinabing 2 semesters, that is 1 school year. So ita-take daw po natin siya ng 2 semesters, itong NSTP program po natin. In lieu of the 2 semesters program for any of the components of the NSTP, 1 summer program may be designed, formulated, and adopted by the DND, CHED, and TESDA. Okay, so that is under the section 6. Ayan. So we need to take note of the important things that was discussed or that was included on every section of this act. Okay. Now may we continue on section 7. It says here that NSTP offering in higher and technical vocational educational institutions, all higher and technical vocational institutions, public and private, must offer at least one of the program components, provided that the state universities and colleges shall offer the ROTC component and at least one other component as provided herein. So sabi niya, the universities, no? It may be technical or vocational institutions, pwedeng public, it may be public or private schools, kailangan daw mag-offer ng at least Ayan, ng at least na isang component doon sa tatlo. And then, provided na yung mga universities na yon or yung mga colleges na yon ay magpro-provide din ng ROTC. So, pwedeng dalawa po sa tatlo yung i-offer ng ating university. So, parang itong ROTC, this is mandatory, no, na component na kailangang i-offer ng ating university. And then sabi niya, provided further that private higher and technical vocational education institutions may also offer the ROTC if they can have it at least 350 cadet students. So ito pala yung requirement ng ating ROTC, no? At least 350 cadet students po yung kailangan natin para makapag-offer yung mga technical, vocational, or private higher education institutions ng ROTC. So, meron pala tayong mga requirements na kailangang i-meet. Hindi lang yung nag-o-offer ka lang ng isang program. Hindi po pala ganon. So, dapat meron tayong 350 na cadet students. Okay, so may we continue? In offering the NSTP, whether during the semestral or summer periods, clustering of affected students from different educational institutions may be done, taking into account logistics, branch of service, and geographical considerations. So schools that do not meet the required, let's highlight this one. Schools that do not meet the required number of students to maintain the optional ROTC and any of the NSTP components shall allow their students to cross-enroll to other school. Ayan. Irrespective of whether or not the NSTP components in said schools are being administered by the same or another branch of service in the Armed Forces of the Philippines. Okay? Okay, so may I just correct myself when I said that the ROTC is mandatory kasi meron siyang word na may. So, it is optional. It also says here na yung itong ROTC natin is optional. So, I'm just going to change the color of this one to make it clear, no? I just want to correct myself when I said that the ROTC is mandatory. No, it is an optional program. So, kung hindi daw or yung mga schools daw or yung mga universities daw ay hindi po na-meet yung 350 na cadet students at hindi nila na-maintain yun, yung mga other NSTP components, pwede daw pong mag-cross-enroll yung mga students sa ibang school. Okay? So, yun po yung kanyang option, no? So, yun po yung kanyang, kung hindi po ma-maintain yung ROTC, ayan, kung hindi sila nakamit ng 350 na cadet students, pwede silang mag-cross-enroll sa other schools para i-take yung ROTC or any other components ng NSTP. So, yan po yung laman ng ating Section 7. Okay, so Section 8 naman, it says here the fees and incentives. Ano yan? Ano kayo mga benefits kung meron ba? It says here that higher and technical vocational institutions shall not collect any fee for any of the NSTP components except basic tuition fees, which shall not be more than 50% of what is currently charged by schools per unit. But most universities now, especially public universities, are now offering a free education, no? But it says here on the Section 8, it says here that the institutions, yung mga colleges daw or yung mga universities, hindi daw sila pwedeng mag-collect ng kahit anong fee para sa NSTP component, except daw yung mga basic tuition fees na kasali doon. And then, hindi po dapat na, kung meron man po, it will not be more than 50%. So, let us highlight this one. Okay? Be informed that it must not be more than 50% of what is currently charged by schools per unit. For example, we have a certain fee for every unit, so hindi daw dapat na mag-e-exit sa 50% nung per unit. Okay? And then, In the case of ROTC, the DND shall formulate and adopt a program of assistance and or incentive to those students who will take the said component. The school authorities concerned, the CHED and TESDA shall ensure that the group insurance for health and accident shall be provided for students enrolled in any of the NSTP components. So if ever there are things that happen to a particular student, it says here that the CHED and TESDA, ayan, highlight natin, will ensure or shall ensure the group insurance. Meron tayong insurance for health and accident that will be provided to the students as long as they are enrolled in NSTP components. Okay? And then we also have the section 9. It says here for scholarships, there is hereby created a special scholarship program for qualified students taking the NSTP, which shall be administered by the CHED and TESDA. So funds for this purpose shall be included in the annual regular appropriations of the CHED and TESDA. Okay? So that is for the scholarship. Anyways, these sections are self-explanatory. So as you can see, meron daw tayong special scholarship program para sa mga qualified students na nagtitake po ng ating NSTP. And it will be administered by who? By the CHED and TESDA. Sila po yung bahala later on para doon. Meron palang ganon yung ating under ng NSTP, no? Under the scholarships ng Section 9. Okay? Under Section 10, we have the management of the NSTP components. So it says here that the school authorities shall exercise academic and administrative supervision over the design, formulation, adoption, and implementation of the different NSTP components in their respective schools. Ayan, meron pala tayong mga school authorities that are needed in order for them to exercise their administrative and academic supervision para ma-implement po ang ating NSTP. So as you can see, there are a lot of stakeholders or there are a lot of people who are involved in this NSTP. Okay? In the provision or the implementation of the NSTP and its different components. Hindi lang po isang tao, no? We also have the different school authorities. We also have the different government agencies for that matter. Okay? Provided, it says here, provided that in case of CHED or TESDA accredited non-government organization or NGO has been contracted to formulate and administer a training module for any of the NSTP components. Such academic and administrative supervision shall be exercised jointly with the accredited NGO, provided further that such training module shall be accredited by the CHED and TESDA. So for example, we have these training modules that will be given to you students if you will take for example, your ROTC. So these modules or these training modules that will be used later on for your ROTC, those are being accredited or being checked. Okay? So meron tayong, for example, we have syllabus that we need to follow para alam natin yung mga list of topics that we need to take later on. Okay? So that is under the Section 10. Okay? We also have the Section 11, which says that creation of the National Service Reserve Corps. And there is hereby created a National Service Reserve Corps to be composed of the graduates of the non-ROTC components. So member of this corps may be tapped by the state for literacy and civic welfare activities through the joint effort of the DND, CHED, and TESDA. So yung mga ROTC minsan na they are also tapped, no? Yung mga services nila, ino-offer din nila so to help help sa ating environment. Ayan, and then they also help on the different programs or the different components of NSTP. Just like for literacy, for example, no, you are going to share your we are going to have a training, no, training on about technology sa ating community. Yan. Meron tayong mga ROTC to assist us. Yun yung sinasabi ng ating section 11. And then it says here that graduates of the ROTC shall form part of the Citizens Armed Force pursuant to Republic Act number 7077. Yeah. So if you would like to view later on the content of the Republic Act number 7077, it is already available. No? You may search for it so that you will gain more knowledge about this particular act. And then we also have the section 12. Implementing rules. It says here that the DND, CHED, and TESDA shall have the joint responsibility for the adoption of the implementing rules of this act within 60 days. Ayan. Although this act has already been approved, no? Lahat naman na tayo nagte-take ng ating NSTP. So, from the approval of this act. And then these three agencies, the DND, CHED, and TESDA, shall consult with other concerned government agencies. For example, we have the PASUK and COCOPEA, and then the NGOs, and recognized student organizations in drafting and implementing the particular rules. So, the implementing rules shall include the guideline for the adoption of the appropriate curriculum for each of the NSTP components, as well as for the accreditation of the same. So, as you can see under Section 12, in-emphasize na naman po that there will be rules and regulations that we need to follow in order to have a organized implementation of the NSTP, but it is already being implemented, and okay naman po yung ating subject na NSTP. All of the training materials or the modules are already provided, so we don't have any problem with this already. But as you can see, magjo-join force daw yung ating DND, yung ating CHED, and yung TESDA, at the same time yung PASUK, COCOPEA, and the NGOs. Okay, so we also have the section 13 under the transitory provisions. Students who have yet to complete the basic ROTC, except those falling under section 14 of this act, may either continue in the program component they are currently enrolled or shift to any of the program components of their choice. Ayan, pwede palang mag-shift kung gusto nating pumunta sa Civic, okay lang din po. And then, provided that in case he shifts to another program component, the basic ROTC course he has completed shall be counted for the purpose of completing the NSTP requirements. For example daw, hindi mo natapos yung basic ROTC mo, pero meron kang mga natapos na mga, for example, trainings or number of hours, at gusto mo na mag-shift sa other na program, okay lang din po, pero i-honor pa rin po yung natapos natin. Okay, so it says here that provided further that once he has shifted to another program component, he shall complete the NSTP in component. Okay? Under section 14, we have the suspension. Ayan, suspension of ROTC requirement. So the completion of ROTC training as a requirement for graduation is hereby set aside for those students who, despite completing all their academic units as of the effectivity of this act, have not been allowed to graduate. So as I've said before, that in order for us to graduate, you should at least enroll to any of the components of the NSTP. And then we also have the section 15, separability clause. If any section or provision of this act shall be declared unconstitutional or invalid, the other sections or provisions not affected thereby shall remain in full force and effect. Okay? We also have the section 16 under the amendatory clause. Under section 35 of Commonwealth Act number 1, Executive Order number 207 of 1939, sections 2 and 3 of Presidential Decree number 1706, and sections 38 and 39 of Republic Act number 7077, as well as all laws, decrees, orders, rules, and regulations, and other issuances inconsistent with the provision of this act are hereby deemed amended and modified accordingly. Okay, so may we just read the remaining sections? Ayan, so lastly, we have the section 17 under the Eff Activities. As you can see, this act shall take effect 15 days after its publication. So I repeat, this act shall take effect 15 days. Ayan, 15 days after its publication in 2 newspapers of national circulation. But the implementation of this act shall commence in the school year of 2002 and 2003. So as you can see, no, matagal na palang na-implement itong NSTP Act natin. So, nung na-create nila itong act, it will be effective daw, or it shall take its effect after 15 days na na-publish siya sa 2 newspapers. For example, no, kailangan nating i-publish itong act na ito sa 2 newspapers of national circulation. Hindi yung mga newspaper lang sa ating region, but dapat ito ay sa national circulation para yung dissemination ng content ng ating act, or dissemination of the implementation of the NSTP Act before will be widely para mas malawak po yung kanyang sakop at mai-spread po sa iba't ibang sulok ng ating bansa. Okay? Pero yung implementation daw ng ating act natin, or yung NSTP Act, ay nag-start po or nag-commence noong 2002 to 2003 na school year. So, matagal na. Okay? Ngayong year na to is 2021. So, it's been 19 years, I think, no? Since na-implement itong ating NSTP Act. Okay? As you can see, we have here the signatories na in-approve nila. Okay, that they approved the NSTP Act. We have Sir Franklin Drilon, which is the Senate President before, no? President of the Senate before. We also have Sir Jose de Venecia Jr., which is the Speaker of the House of Representatives before. And then we also have the Sir Oscar G. Yabes, the Secretary of the Senate before. Noong year 2002, we also have Roberto P. Nazareno, the Secretary General in the House of Representatives. It was approved on January 23, 2002. And of course, the President before of the Philippines, which is Madam Gloria Macapagal Arroyo. Okay, yun po yung yung mga signatories natin dito po sa ating NSTP Act. Okay? So, I hope po na nakuha po natin yung mga different contents ng ating section under this Act, the NSTP Act. Okay, let's proceed. So, here is the coverage, no? So, may I just read this one? So, under the NSTP program, both female and male college students of any baccalaureate degree course or technical vocational course in public or private educational institutions are obliged. You see the word obliged. So, it is mandatory. Itong NSTP po natin. All of the college students are obliged to undergo one of the 3 programs or the program components for an academic period of 2 semesters. Ayan, 2 semesters. So, parang ang ginawa dito sa coverage ay sinamarize na kung ano yung other contents ng ating NSTP Act na present ko po kanina. So, the students, however, are free to choose. Ayan, you have the free will, no, to choose kung anong program yung kukunin natin. Pwede kang CWTS, Civic Welfare Training Service, pwede ka sa ROTC, and then pwede rin sa literacy training. Okay? So, it says here, under the Civic Welfare Training Service, although na-discuss na to kanina, so it says here that this program component is designed to provide students with activities contributory to the general welfare. Ayan, lagyan natin ng emphasis ito. Para sa general welfare and of course, the betterment of life of the members of the community. Ayan. So, for example, ng mga activities na pwede natin gawin dito sa CWTS ay you are going to clean, ayan, yung maglilinis tayo sa ating surroundings, sa ating community, and then render tayo ng mga different services natin sa community natin, or community involvement, something like that. Okay, especially those developed to improve a social welfare services. And then, under naman ng literacy training service, it is to train, okay, you will be trained, you students, to train students in teaching literacy and numeracy skills to school children and out of school youths. Okay, so basically we here you students will be sharing all of your knowledge also, and then the things na makakatulong sa kanila in order for them to ma-hone or ma-train sila yung mga skills nila, ayan, and also their talents later on. So the hope is to continue learning on a peer-to-peer interaction. So dito sa ating literacy training service din, no, ma-train din yung mga social skills natin dito, no. And of course, you can also share your information skills or literacy skills sa ating mga school children and out of school youths, para maramdaman din nila they are also important on our society. Okay, and then we also have the Reserve Officers Training Corps, or the ROTC. So it says here that this program component is designed to provide military education, which was discussed a while ago. And then it says here that training for students. May I just highlight this one? Training for students to mobilize them for national defense preparedness. And this is also a glimpse for young people to see how military life and encourage them into the service. So ito pala yung first step natin to encourage you, my dear to encourage you students, para makita ninyo kung paano yung buhay ng, or as you can see, to see how military life is, at para ma-encourage kayo later on dito sa service to also join later on. For example, if you would like to join the police, no? If you would like to become a police later on, at least you already know what will happen later on, okay? So, graduates of the ROTC program component are organized into the Citizen Armed Force, while graduates of the LTS and CWTS program components are organized into the National Service Reserve Corps. So, as you can see, pag ikaw po ay under ng ROTC, ikaw ay ma-organize ng Citizen Armed Force. Highlight po natin ito, under ng Citizen Armed Force. And then, pag ikaw naman po ay graduate ng LTS and CWTS, ikaw naman ay i-organize ng under ng National Service Reserve Corps. It will be administered by the Department of National Defense. As you can see, it will be administered by the National Defense and also the CHED, or the Commission on Higher Education, and also the TESDA. Ayan, yan po yung mga mag-i-administer sa atin, which is, I already presented a while ago, yung mga different government agencies po natin. Okay, so that is for the coverage of the Nstp program, including the 3 programs under it, which is the CWTS, LTS, and also the ROTC. Okay, so let's just have this one, the National Service Training Program Law. Ayan, sabi niya, the National Service Training Program Law of the Republic Act 9163 is a program aimed at enhancing civic consciousness and defense preparedness in the youth by developing the ethics of service and patriotism while undergoing the training in any of its 3 program components, which are the CWTS, LTS, and the ROTC. Okay, so here we have a mission vision to uphold. Okay, so here on the part of the mission, it says here that to conduct capability enhancement for civic welfare services geared towards the strengthening, or towards strengthening the, of course, we have the value. Okay, the values, traits of the youth. Ayan. Develop social entrepreneurs. And then, of course, volunteers and socio-economic mobilizing force, serving communities as value-driven innovators for progress and development while working closely with a network of organizations within and outside the higher education institution. So as you can see, it says here on the mission, yung mission natin, this is the things that we need to target. Ayan, ito yung mission natin if you are going to take the NSTP program. Okay? So it says here that to conduct capability enhancement. We have the word enhancement. Ayan. For civic welfare services geared towards strengthening. These are the things that we need to get or to acquire later on, no? We have to strengthen our values, of course, our traits traits, and then develop social entrepreneurs as volunteers. Kasi later on, if we are going to take the other programs, now you will become a volunteer worker, yan, and then you're going to help the community, something like that. And of course, we need to enhance our values or to uphold our values, especially so that we are now in modern times, and let us not forget also our values, no, and our traits. Kasi sabi nga nila, ang kabataan ay ang pag-asa ng bayan. So we need to uphold that saying. Okay, so that is for the mission. And then it says here, serving communities as value-driven innovators. Ano bang ibig sabihin pag innovators? To innovate, of course, to elevate. Parang you're going to invent something that is advanced or in advance. Okay, you're going to innovate. So you will be value-driven innovators for progress. Okay. Though you will not invent something, but you will be considered as innovators for progress and development. Kasi sabi ko nga, yung mga youth natin, they are the hope of our nation. Okay? We also have that is for the mission, no? For our vision naman, we have this one. So, sa recovery of the youth's sense of patriotism and national pride, values and habits of discipline and hard work, integrity and accountability for nation building, volunteer and in the enhancement of valuable and effective members of the National Service Corps of the Civic Welfare Training Service. As you can see, ina-emphasize natin itong patriotism and national pride. So you, my dear students or youths, will be the national pride, no, of our country, wherein your values and the habits of discipline and hard work and also the integrity and accountability for nation building will be enhanced, okay, here on our here on NSTP. And then we also have the goal to promote and integrate values education. Of course, this is the most important. Ito yung goal natin na kailangan natin i-target later on. And then, transformational leadership. Ayan. So, it is also important for us to join, no, yung mga leadership trainings, and then if you would like to be an officer, in order for you to be trained in advance about leadership. And then, sustainable social mobilization for youth development, community building, national renewal, and of course, the global solidarity. So those are the vision, mission, and the goal of the NSTP law. And of course, we also have the objectives and the values. So it says here on the objectives that we need to target later on. Okay, to promote and protect, or the objectives of the NSTP law, I should say. We have 5. The first one is to promote and protect the physical, mental, spiritual, intellectual, and social well-being of the youth, to inculcate patriotism and nationalism in the youth, to encourage their involvement in public and civic affairs, to identify their roles or role as change agents in the community, and to prepare and implement projects that will answer specific needs of the society. So as you can see, the objectives are already are also found on the content that I've discussed, which includes the different sections of the NSTP Act. So here, it says here that the NSTP law will promote and protect the different factors that are being presented here. Okay? And then, of course, we also have the patriotism and nationalism, love of our country. And then we also have the to encourage their involvement in public and civic affairs. Of course, if you're going to render your services later on for our community and for the public, and to identify their roles as agents in the community and community involvement. And then lastly, we have to prepare and implement projects that will answer specific needs of the society. So for example, you will be conducting an extension projects sa inyong mga community. For example, now we have you are going to teach later on your community how to make mushrooms, or how to paano magparami ng mushroom. Yan, ano yung mga materials na gagamitin nila. That will also their ways on how to that is also a way on how to implement this project, so that merong pagkukunan, merong extra income yung ating mga community, and then you can also share or you can also conduct projects later on that will also answer or that will also meet the specific needs of the society. Okay, meron tayong mga clean and green projects, something like that, and then gardening sa ating community. Okay, per zone, pwede rin po yung mga projects na ganon, so that it will answer the specific needs of our society. So those are the objectives of the NSTP law, and I think we have the values, Let's continue with the values. It says here that we are guided by our commitment to, of course, to love God. That is number 1, to love God. Ayan, yung unahin natin talaga si God. To love God, human dignity, truth, goodness, and social responsibility, innovation and creativity, synergy and professionalism, protection of the environment, indigenous learning and conservation, and quality service delivery. So of course, we should be guided with these different values, because these are important to hone also our personality and we as persons, So we are guided by our commitment. Here are our commitment. We need to love God, You also have to know your human dignity, and then you also have to commit with the truth. Ayan. And then the goodness, and also your responsibility or social responsibility on the community. Okay, you also need to be creative, and then innovative, and then you also need to commit on synergy, and of course you need to have professionalism. And then, kasi later on, yung mga graduates natin, they will be professionals, so that they can also share later on their learnings and their experiences on this particular subject. And then, we also have the protection of the environment, especially so that we are already experiencing global warmings and other problems, so we need to protect also our environment. And next, we also have the indigenous learning and conservation. Ayan, you need to be also well equipped with the indigenous learnings, or the things that are also involved using the when it comes to indigenous factors. And then lastly, we should also have equality service delivery. Okay, so those are the values, And then we also have what we call the develop. What are the things that we need to develop? Okay, so we have two bullets here. The first bullet says that volunteers, virtuous, social entrepreneurs who are result-oriented individual with strong values to contribute to national peace, development, and security, and individuals, organizations, institutions committed to serving people for God's glory to enhance growth and development in the society. So, we can also serve community by developing an informed and aware community. Ayan, encouraging intergovernment agency cooperation, assisting the community in defining and identifying ideas of development, providing complementary assistance and support to facilitate socio-economic development, environmental and natural resources management and delivery of basic service, and also to uplift the well-being of people. So as you can see, they are already self-explanatory. So if you would like to read them again, so it's here, no? Here are the values. And then we also have the things that we need to develop, and then we can serve community by. Okay, so these are the bullets that are included. Okay, so we also have the strategy. So it says here, we pursue our goals through. How are we going to pursue our goals? So we have 5 bullets here that are available. It says here, to integrative approach to human development that begins with one's development, that begins with oneself. Okay, so it's the second one, partnership with local officials, civic leaders, and non-government organizations. Okay, in order for our goals to be implemented, or in order for our goals to be pursued, of course, hindi natin kaya na mag-isa yan. So we need other agencies, we need also other people, officials, no, the leaders of the community, and we need to partner with them para merong collaboration, no, para mas mapaganda or mas ma-achieve natin yung mga goals natin. And then sabi dito sa first bullet that it should begin with oneself. So tayo yung simula. Okay? So we need to stand firm, tayo yung simula, tayo yung mag-i-initiate. Ayan. And then we will urge later on our friends, the other people or stakeholders of our community to pursue our goals and objectives. And then sabi dito sa pangatlo, self-reliant community development supportive of national goals. Of course, we have the community building. Ayan. And then we also have the participatory decision making. Okay, so that is for the strategy, the strategies that we need in order for us to pursue our goals. And lastly, of course, we have the core values. What are the core values? So we have here righteousness and service. And then we also have the word DARE or DARE. So yung D po is for discipline, and then yung A is for awareness. We also have the R for respect, and E for excellence. And then to be different, sabi niya, for righteousness and service, under service we have the work of God. We have the work of God. Ayan, work. And then we also have the witness. Those are the 3 W's. So we have the DARE and the 3 W's for our core values, for discipline, awareness, respect, and of course the excellence. Okay, so that is the content. I think that is the final content or the final topic under the legal basis of NSTP. So as you can see, let's just go back, no? I discussed about the Republic Act number 9163, the NSTP or the NSTP Service or the National Service Training Program Act of 2001, ayan, which is being implemented 19 years ago. And then I also discussed to you the different sections. At per section, meron siyang mga ine-explain or there are information each section na sinabi. And as you can see, we have the emphasized words that you need to consider later on or you need to take note. Okay, and then we have how many sections? I will just scroll it. Okay, I think we have 50. No, we have 17. Yeah. We have 17 sections under this act, and it was approved by the following we have here. No, I already read and discussed those who approved this act. We have the President of the Senate and the rest. And of course, don't forget the former president, no? Which was also one of the signatories for this particular act. And I also discussed with the coverage of the NSTP and the different programs under this under the NSTP program. And then of course I also discussed the NSTP law, the mission, the vision, the goal, the objectives, and we also have the values, and then the things we need to develop. We serve community by, and then the strategies that we need to pursue for our goals, and then we also have the core values. So those are the things that we have discussed under this unit, the legal basis of NSTP. So I hope we learned something valuable today. I hope we gained understanding, and I hope we understood the discussion. But if you have any questions or if you need clarifications on this topic, do not hesitate to ask me, and I will try my best to answer them. Okay, so thank you so much for watching, and good day and God bless.